How's it going, everybody? This is Dave Meltzer. We're going to be here with Brian Alvarez for the next 2 hours talking pro wrestling. We're also going to have Shelton Benjamin of Ohio Valley Wrestling up in about half an hour. And we will talk about current news. We've got tons of emails and just get to stuff. Brian, how are you today?
I'm doing good.
That's good. I've been actually out all morning, so I haven't had a chance to look at too much stuff, but I was kind of glancing through the letters. I mean, I don't know why, but I just started laughing at all the Chris Jericho stuff. I don't know why, because it's one of these things. It's like for the last year and a half, it's like this big topic, of Chris Jericho. I mean, it's just so funny to me because it's like
it's a topic that shouldn't be a big topic.
Well, it's not even a topic. I mean, I just find it so humorous because I don't know why I find it humorous. I mean, I guess from day one when he got to the WWF, where he all of a sudden, after how many years in wrestling, got this reputation where he couldn't work, even though he'd been working for 10 years, and in every place he'd been, he'd had a reputation for being a very good worker. And, it's so obvious what it is. I mean, it was obvious from day one, and here we are 2 years later, and people are still trying to, put forth the same myth, that was obviously, a political game from the start.
Yeah. I mean, just if you go back and just look at his debut, he had such a great debut on Raw. He had such a great, such great interaction with Rock, and it was all downhill from there. And how does that happen? I thought talent was supposed to rise to the top in the WWF.
Well, I will say this. I do think that his interviews have gotten, he's got lame catchphrases.
Yeah.
And he has lame delivery of his catchphrases. His interviews in WCW I thought were far more creative and a lot better. I mean, as far as in the ring goes, in the ring he's not the best worker in the company, but he's a really good worker. And is he as good as Chris Benoit? He's not. He's not as good as Chris Benoit. Not as good as Hunter, but for a guy with his look and his charisma and his crowd reactions when they were treating him seriously, and his interview ability, he deserved to be at the top. And and obviously from last summer, he was there. And how bad could his work be? I mean, look at the matches that he's had on pay-per-view. I mean, his matches with Benoit are tremendous. His matches with Hunter are tremendous. His matches with Angle at the house shows are tremendous. So, that's a joke that, his work's not up to par. It's great. He's not as good as Chris Benoit. Guess what? Nobody else is either.
That's right.
So, I don't know. I was just I glanced through that and I'm just thinking Jesus Christ, we went through all this 2 years ago and everyone knows everyone knows the game. Hunter came in, spread a bunch of stories about him from day one. And it's and you know what? Hunter is a better worker than Chris Jericho, but that doesn't mean, that doesn't mean it's good for the promotion to hold someone down, as we've seen from WCW, because you know what? Kevin Nash, I can't believe I'm going to say this, has more charisma than almost everybody in WCW. Okay, he's not a better worker than almost anyone, but he does have more charisma, because when he comes out, he knows how to get a pop. Scott Hall actually has more charisma than almost anyone in the business. If you go to the Noah promotion, there are certain, let's go to All Japan a couple of years ago. They had those guys who were the best workers in the world. But you know what? If you keep putting the same guys against the same guys over and over and over again, they could be the greatest workers, greatest talkers, greatest everything. But sooner or later, it's going to get stale. Rock and Triple H last year was a great, great feud. But by the time they were done with that feud, the fact was that Rock and Benoit was a bigger drawing match because people were sick of the feud. Hunter and Austin, at one, did a bad buy rate last year because people had just seen the matchup enough, and they were sick of it. So you need new guys and to constantly create fresh matchups.
Huh? Hunter and Austin got a bad buy rate because people were sick of that match.
Survivor Series, they did a bad buy rate. Yeah, I think that was the lowest buy rate of the year for WWF was Hunter and Austin.
But they couldn't have been sick of the match because Austin had been out for a year.
Well, maybe they were just sick of something. I don't know.
Actually, I don't even know how to explain that buy rate looking back.
Yeah. But anyway. But the two lowest buy rates of last year, I believe, were Hunter and Austin was the lowest, and then Hunter and Rock was second lowest.
Yeah.
And obviously,
Hunter and Rock, that's obvious because they just wrestled so many times.
They just wrestled too many times. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I don't blame it. And they had, Hunter and Rock had a great buy rate the month before, but that one was really drawn by Austin. The Backlash.
I just have to go back and look at the Steve Austin Undertaker feud. It did fine. They did about 10 million matches, and eventually
then at the end, the last buy rate
plummeted. The last buy rate.
Yeah, the last buy rate they did, people didn't want to see it. Yeah, so that is the reason why you constantly have to create new guys, because the old guys in the same matchups will get stale. Speaking of that, that's sort of going to contradict the next thing I'm going to say. But anyway, All Japan, I said it again. Noah did their semifinal today of the global tournament, and they
swerved us.
Yeah, well, they put Yoshihiro Takayama over, which makes no sense. And then they put him over by DQ, which, if he'd beaten Vader by pin, I would have said, well, it makes no sense, but what the hell, they're trying something. But to put him over on a DQ in this tournament, there's no
the day
way
after a count out.
There is no justification. They're killing their title, and they're killing the foundation of their promotion because people don't want DQs in Japan. I mean, it's so well known. The crowd reacts so violently towards them. I mean, it's almost like, that when I woke up and I saw that result from the match today, it was like, now this is something seriously wrong because, booking isn't that complicated, but realistically it's not. Sometimes it can be, but this is like a mistake of so elementary proportions that anyone who could book this, who would think and go, we're going to put this guy over on a DQ in the semifinals of our World Championship tournament. I'm thinking like, now that's someone who really has no clue. And it's funny because, Masao is the booker and he's been there for 20 years and he was there during the ups and the downs. And I don't know what it is other than they probably think, well,
Maybe they watched King of the Ring last year.
Well, yeah. Actually, you know what? What I was going to say is they're sitting there going like, you know what? The number one promotion in the world is the WWF right now. And they do DQs. So why are we stuck in the past not doing DQs, not realizing that it's just a completely different, like when they do DQs on WWF shows now, if they do it three matches in a row, you'll hear people groan and everything like that. But the people in the United States are not.
They accept them. It's not so much they like them. Everyone hates DQs, but they're acceptable because there's just so much television and there's so many matches that you can do a DQ every now and then and people will accept it.
Yeah. But over there, those fans won't accept it. So when you know what people don't want, this is a question. Brian, it's hard to book for what people want because no one knows. But when you know something, without any question, because every time they've done a DQ, the reaction's been the same. When you know something that people don't want, okay, what is the purpose of booking that? I don't know.
I think you pointed out a couple seconds ago. It's the whole thing where they see the WWF, or I guess the WWF is like the biggest promotion in the world. It's so successful, and WWF does DQs. But it's like the same thing as if somebody nowadays were going to start a new promotion, and we're going to create a new promotion and get Kevin Nash and all those guys, and they went back and decided we're going to book exactly like WCW in 1998 because it was the biggest promotion in the world. Well, it was the biggest promotion in the world, but the things that they were doing in 1998 led to it being dead today. So just because a promotion is huge, or just because something is working, doesn't mean that you need to copy the bad aspects of it. And I think that everyone would agree that the worst aspects of American wrestling are like the horrible finishes, the no finishes, bad soap opera. So why would you copy that? How can you not know what people want?
Because because obviously what's going on there, everyone there is struggling right now, and they're looking for a formula, and the WWF looks like the formula.
But look at all the formulas in the WWF, and how could someone think, okay, of all the things that the WWF is doing, why don't we copy the bad finishes?
Yeah, I know. No, it was funny, and there is a lot to learn. That's one of the reasons why I like watching all wrestling, is because there's something to learn from all successful wrestling. You can't, you know what I mean? There's so much good about the WWF. There's so much. But that's not one of them.
Yes.
That King of the Ring tournament last year was not something that you copy. Anyway, let's get through. Got
There's another one right there. Oh, God. How could they have screwed that up? Till the day I die, I will be thinking that same question.
Yeah.
They really had a hell of a tournament last year, and they screwed it up. I don't know if it was because, we need to elevate Rikishi or whatever, but I don't know what they were thinking.
They're not perfect. No one's perfect.
We'll see this year.
What? We'll find out this year. Power Pro Wrestling will officially be, the Memphis promotion will officially be folded, and we're going to have a press release on that that Randy Hale sent out. Probably we'll read it after the break. But their final television show will be this coming Saturday, and they were actually informed of this past Saturday. That WMC, they had a 3-year contract with WMC, and it was actually expiring, and they were told last Saturday that it would not be renewed. And as far as the future of, maybe, I'm not sure if the press release said something about the future of wrestling in Memphis, but I'll read it and then try to fill in what it doesn't say after reading it. So anyway, we'll have that in just a minute. But yeah, they just got the word last Saturday that they were being canceled, and a lot of guys.
So the whole promotion is folding.
The final show of the promotion will be Saturday, yes, because without TV there's no promotion.
Yeah.
So Abu Dhabi. I got my results here. I don't know how up to date they are. Actually, let's see. It looks like we got okay. In the 143-pound class, the finals look like the finals will be. This will be tomorrow. Royler Gracie against Barrett Yoshida. Let's see if there's anybody on this list that I need to go to. Joey Gilbert, who's in the next UFC, won his first round match and then lost in double overtime in his second round match. Those would be the only names that would be. Let's see. In the 167 weight class, the finals are Matt Serra against Marcio Feitosa Souza. Matt Serra will be in the next UFC against Shoni Carter, so he made it all the way to the finals. And let's see who did what here. Genki Suda of Pancras, who's a really fun fighter to watch, got beat 9-0 by points by Rodrigo Gracie, who ended up winning his second round match and then lost to Feitosa Souza. Caro Uno lost in the first round by points to Fernando Vasconcelos. Tetsuchi Kato, who's a judo guy. Uno was in the last UFC and also did the New Year's Eve Pro Wrestling show. He did a great job in that show, too, for his first pro match. He's actually a former judo guy who quit judo. Let's see. Kato lost by choke to Leonardo Silva dos Santos, which sounds like a combination of like 4 different Mexican wrestlers. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Jean-Jacques Machado won his first round match and then lost to Matt Serra in his second round match. And Matt Serra beat Takanori Gomi in his first match, who was a judo guy. He beat Jean-Jacques Machado in the second round, so he's in the finals. And then, let's see, 191 pounds. Finals are Saulo Ribeiro, who won it last year, and Sanai Kikuta of Pancras. And Ribeiro actually lost in like 30 seconds at the Tokyo Dome show with Yuki Kondo in a no holds barred. Got kneed in the face. But let's see who. So I know. Let's see, 191. I know Tamara got thrashed. Let's see. Let's look. There's a lot of names in this one. Akihiro Gono lost in the first round. Let's see. Ribeiro went to the finals. Henzo Gracie lost in the first round by decision to Chris Brown. Kikuta beat Evan Tanner 6-0, and then beat Egan Inoue, who was on the last Pride show. I don't know what the score was, but I just know he won. Let's see. Tamara lost in 1 minute and 2 seconds with an armbar to Ricardo Laborio, who's a Brazilian guy. And Egan Inoue beat a guy named Volodymyr, so it was a Russian guy with a choke in 9:30, and then he beat Laborio. And then he lost to Kikuta. So that's that weight class. And then we still got the heavyweights. Oh, no, we don't. We got 2 more. Okay.
That's a lot of fights in one day.
Yeah, 215-pound weight class. It's Ricardo Almeida, who, Ricardo Almeida is scheduled against, God, I forget who now. I think Ricardo Almeida is on the next UFC. Al, he's on the next UFC, right?
Yes, I believe so.
I also heard an unconfirmed story that Ricardo Almeida is in the finals, except his arm is now in a sling. That may not be correct, but I did hear that about an hour ago. So, which may mean that he's not in the finals. That might mean
he's out of the finals.
Yes, I know. And it may mean he's out of UFC, too. So we'll probably find that out either later today or tomorrow. Against Ricardo Arona.
If he was tough as Shane Douglas, he'd still be working with that stuff.
Ricardo Arona I've seen in rings. Ricardo Arona is a hell of a fighter. He's really exciting. So anyway, see, in that weight class...
Guys, Ricardo Almeida will be fighting Matt Lindland.
Oh, wow. Oh, that'd be terrible to have that fight canceled. Seriously.
A light heavyweight bout.
Oh, Matt Lindland was Olympic gold medalist against a great submission guy. That'd be a great fight. Oh, well. I hope he's okay. Let's see. I hope he's okay even if there's nothing to do with it. Anyway, Higan Machado actually lost by referee stoppage in his first round match to a guy named John Olive Inemo, who lost to Arona in the semifinals. And Tsuyoshi Kosaka from Rings Pro Wrestling lost 5-2 in the first round to Holes Gracie, who actually I'm not familiar with. Then in the heavyweights, it's Jeff Monson. Wow, Jeff Monson beat Tom Erickson.
Holes and Hoist?
What? Holes.
Holes and Hoist.
I don't get it. You're trying to say a joke and I don't get it.
Like Rolls Royce?
Rolls Royce. Okay, I got it. You're right. God damn, that's pretty good. Let's see. It's Jeff Monson against Mark Robinson. Wow, that's a surprise. Okay, so Jeff Monson, let's see. Tom Erickson won his first round match 2-0 over Roberto Traven of Brazil, and then he lost to Monson. We don't have a score. Mike Van Arsel got leg locked by Marcelo Ribeiro da Cruz in 1:07. Then Sean Alvarez beat Leo Costello Blanco 2-0. Vitor Belfort choked out Hikaru Fukuda, who I think is an amateur wrestler from Japan, in 4:22. Then Mark Robinson, who's a big South African powerlifter who got knocked out by Bobby Hoffman at the last UFC, choked out Valerie Uris-School in 7:32. And Rico Rodriguez beat Yoshiaki Yatsu in a flow with a flying armbar in 2:11. That almost sounds
flying
like
armbar?
Rico Rodriguez is like 240 and he's doing a flying armbar. Then, I mean, I don't know. That sounds like an interesting finish. So Rodriguez lost to Mark Robinson, which has to be, I guess, a minor upset, although Mark Robinson is super strong. And Monson beat Alvarez. So anyway, that's where Abu Dhabi stands. Let me get to poll questions here. What was the greatest pay-per-view show of all time? We only had 5 here. We didn't get a lot of complaints about the 5 we picked. Actually, you know what? We got like no complaints about the 5 we picked, which I'm amazed.
That's because you told them not to complain.
Okay.
Although that usually doesn't work.
But that's, I know. Anyway, AAA When Worlds Collide, 23%. The winner, and actually a pretty sizable winner, was the 1989, and this is a surprise in many ways, 1989 WCW Great American Bash, 32%. The reason I say that is for a number of reasons. Number one, it was WCW, although it was a hell of a show. Number two, it was 1989. That's like 12 years ago. And considering the mean age of our listenership, which is about 25 or 26, let's say 26-year-old person would be 14 then. I guess they could have watched it.
I did.
But a lot of people didn't. WCW 1996 Great American Bash, 10%. WrestleMania 10, which was with the Michaels and Ramon ladder match and Bret and Owen Hart, 11%. And then WrestleMania 17, which was last week, obviously, 23%. Actually, When Worlds Collide beat WrestleMania by 1 vote, technically. So anyway, that was behind Great American Bash. So that was the results. Let's see. That's the notes I got. See, Vampiro is going to be starting an EMLL. Let me see if I have a date here on this. Vampiro in the middle
like
of
April
June.
18th.
What? I heard May 19th, but it says the middle of June.
Yeah.
Let's see. And it says this is just, he'll be a main eventer, obviously, because of his name. Let me see if there's anything else here. And that's pretty much it. Any other news to get to before we start?
It's all the main stuff.
Okay. Of course, SmackDown tonight with Jeff Hardy winning the Intercontinental from Triple H. Let's see. This is from Dave Drosheff of Alabama.
Did you get my email about the WWF website?
What, as far as the names of the
basically,
shows?
I went up there yesterday to make sure that those names were legitimate because I did not
Oh,
believe
yeah,
that.
and they posted. Okay, well, you can tell the story.
Well, basically, I went to the news page, and there was a thing that said, do not click here something if you don't want to know what happens on SmackDown, like a spoiler warning or whatever. So I thought, well, that's pretty cool. But then on the main page, when you first go into the website, there's a gigantic picture of Jeff Hardy covering Hunter and the words, "Game over, new Intercontinental Champion." And I thought, well, had a spoiler for everyone that went to the website, but it was a nice try.
Well, that's just like anything else, though. Sometimes the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing.
I got an email last night complaining about feedback. They go, why didn't you put a spoiler warning on feedback? Because people were talking about Jeff Hardy winning the title. It had never even occurred to me. I didn't even think about it. But it's spoiled.
Okay, here's the deal. Okay, and I'll say this right now.
Who cares? Once the news is out, the news is out.
Okay, once something happens, it happens. Okay, if you're listening to the show on a Wednesday or on a Thursday, and somebody brings up something on SmackDown, we're not going to pretend it didn't happen because it wasn't on television. And thus also, if there's news that happens on SmackDown, now on the main news thing that I write, I ignore the Tuesday stuff because we have the Tuesday stuff put up separately. But if something were to happen, newsworthy based on it on a Wednesday, the news is the news.
Why does something have to be televised? Can we not report on the GHC tournament till it airs on TV.
No one in Japan does that. It's not, and
Well, I'm just saying, it would be the same thing here. Are people going to complain about that? Oh, you reported that Vader lost via DQ. I haven't seen it on TV yet.
Yeah.
Did we spoil it?
Yeah.
I figure once something happens, who cares? It happened.
Once it's happened, it happened. Okay.
Especially nowadays with news everywhere, it's so hard to try and, watch a show that's taped without knowing what happens. Especially if you're looking around on the internet. If you don't want to know, don't look around on the internet.
Well, the one good thing about wrestling, though, as compared to, say, like a real sporting event or something like that, just a real sporting event. That sounds so weird, but you know what I'm saying, is that you can if you don't click on the internet, you can avoid results of wrestling matches. Whereas if it was, say, like a big sporting event that was being tape delayed, you really can't. You can't listen to the radio. Like remember when which was actually one of the biggest events in the history of television was the finals of what year was it? 1994, I think? 92? I think it was 94. With Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding. Yeah, it was 94, right? Yeah. So anyway, it's like, they aired that on tape delay. It got like 48 rating or some incredible, stupid number. So anyway, but all day on the radio, they gave the results. And it's like, it was really hard to avoid, I kind of didn't really want to know the results, but it was impossible not to. What are you going to do?
You have to shut everything off in the house and
close
all the
You can't watch any television. You can't listen. So it was, the bottom line is that I knew, and it was fine, and I still watched it anyway. But with wrestling, really, if you just don't click to the internet for 2 days, you can avoid the results. You actually can avoid those results. But
if you're someone who wants to surf around the internet and look for news, don't complain when you find out what happened on a taped show.
No, that's right. You're right about that. Okay, let me just do this one thing. Then we will hit a break, and we will hit some more emails. In today's update on the website, you mentioned the Wrestling Gold DVD. Do you recall any specific matches on this DVD? Since I announced them, I recall most of them. A lot of Jerry Lawler, a lot of Rick Rude, a lot of Randy Savage. Again, different guys, those guys against each other. Bundy was in there. So it was that era of Memphis, like 1984. I remember Bruiser Brody, Nick Bockwinkel match, Nick Bockwinkel, Manny Fernandez match, which was really good. Tully Blanchard, I think, and Manny Fernandez. Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson against Randy Savage and Lanny Poffo. When watching back, the one thing, and I spent it's basically a weekend of watching these tapes over and over, and boy, there was such a difference in, the style of wrestling was just so different. I think I remarked to Brian, right afterwards, I watched all those tapes and saw, almost no missed moves. But then again, I saw almost...
There were no real moves to miss.
Yeah, except for Randy Savage and Ricky Morton, there was nothing that was really all that spectacular. The other thing watching back is that if you look for what you would envision a star being with today's eyes, and you look back at those tapes 16, 17 years, Savage was a hell of a worker. Okay, you could see that, and Ricky Morton obviously was a really good worker, and Bruiser Brody had it. Bruiser Brody could be transplanted with no update and put in today's wrestling scene, and he would be a total superstar. But almost everybody else on those tapes, when you watch them, Manny Fernandez was pretty decent. Tully had the Tully thing going, but I don't know that he would have been given a chance today because of his size and his look, they would have just gone, he's just doesn't got a great body, and he's not spectacular, all this stuff is basic, but, Tully had a thing going, but most of those guys, by today's standards, most of it doesn't hold up, as far as great. Now, if you're into it, just to see it. Yeah,
but if you transplant some of those guys to today, it would be easier for them to have access to a better body.
Oh, of course. And also they would have seen these moves and would have known how to do these moves, and many of them would have been able to do these moves.
Yeah.
This is from Power. This is a Randy Hale statement. There's not much in life that you can say is a sure thing, but one thing you can always count on is that things change. Sometimes they change for the good, sometimes not so good. We all go through changes. I grew up with Memphis wrestling, and anyone who knows me will tell you that it's been my love, my passion, and my dream. Most kids don't get to grow up and live their dream. I feel very fortunate that I've been able to live my dream. Wrestling-wise, the happiest I ever was April 18th, 1998, when Power Pro Wrestling premiered on TV5 in Memphis. Before I started writing this letter, I watched that very first show, and to this day, it gives me goosebumps. I'm very proud of the last 3 years of TV. I'm proud of the product, and I'm proud of the effort we've had from everybody involved in this company. I would have been very happy if Power Pro wrestling would have continued operating like we have been operating forever. I would have been content to retire 30 years from now as the owner, founder, and president of Power Pro Wrestling. But like I said, things change. In April of 1998, I signed a 3-year deal with TV5. I was very confident this contract would be renewed. However, this past Saturday after TV, I was informed by TV5 that the show would not be renewed, and this week's show would be the final episode of Power Pro Wrestling. The major reason given was due to financial reasons and insurance liability issues. It was not financially feasible to continue doing the show. I'll elaborate on that in just a second. Starting on April the 21st, TV5 will begin airing Best of Memphis Wrestling. So that means tapes of old shows. So they're not getting out of the wrestling business. That's an interesting one. As far as Power Pro Wrestling is concerned, let me say this. We worked hard to achieve our dream, and we're not going to sit back and go away. There are other options. We do have a plan. It won't be the same, but sometimes change is good. I'd like to thank everyone who supported Power Pro over the last 3 years. It's been a project a lot of people have worked hard for. It's an experience that I will always cherish and remember. We'll probably have, by the way, that's from Randy Hales. We will probably have Randy Hales on this show probably in 2 or 3 weeks anyway. I'm not sure exactly what date he actually had committed to do the show, and not having anything to do with this. It was just a time frame situation before he was going to do it. And anyway, what that tells me is that they are not giving up on wrestling. Now, there are 2 other companies, or actually neither of them are companies. There are 2 other people wanting to what basically happened with Memphis is this. They were paying, it was the only station that I'm aware of, with the exception of Viacom, I guess, that was actually paying, for the right to broadcast wrestling. I mean, it was the only local station that was doing it. Most of them get it on a barter, and in a lot of cases, wrestling, syndicated wrestling, the company actually pays for the time. But this one, because of the long history of huge ratings that TV5 has gotten from wrestling, the fact that Dave Brown, who's the most popular newscaster, he's a local weatherman, but he's by far the most popular newscaster in the entire market, was part of the show. It's just been one of those things where they'd paid for programming forever because the ratings are so high, and it was a tradition that they kept doing. And the people who were around during the heyday of Channel 5 wrestling and all that are no longer with the station. As station management changes, people from out of town came in. And, to them, it's like, what do we have this contract? We're paying a couple of grand a week for wrestling. Aren't we supposed to get paid for wrestling? So when the contract ran out, I mean, that was basically the gist on that. And there's also, this is kind of a weird one. There was a insurance situation in that they said that wrestling in that television studio was an insurance liability issue, which is funny because, as Brian, as you probably know, wrestling's been in that exact same studio with the exception of a 1-year break since 1977 or something. Yeah. But anyway, that's what happened and he was, after the TV Saturday, he was told, 1 week notice, you're done next Saturday. And, probably a lot of people are going to go in because it's the traditional time slot trying to get it. There is a possibility, that they will continue in the studio with another company, although highly unlikely. I know that one of the proposals, which is Corey Macklin, who's one of the TV announcers, has put together a proposal. And I don't know how, they had a meeting last night. I don't know how the meeting went. And that proposal actually would have been to continue studio wrestling, although they would not get paid for it. They would have to pay for it themselves. And the other proposal, which I don't know if it would be continue studio wrestling or sending tapes, was put in by Sid Udy, who lives in West Memphis and has always fashioned that he could be a booker and a promoter. And knowing that the contract was up. He's got to take
that next step in his career.
He broke his leg and he's 41 years old, so you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's not, so anyway, it's not the worst thing. Anyway, let's go to some more of this. Who would Sid
bring in?
That guy, that Johnny Rotten guy. I don't know who else. Yeah, all those local guys are going to go wherever the TV is anyway. Yeah. So it's going to be the same crew no matter what. Now, I know that, and I don't know which side or where he's aligned, but I do know that Jimmy Hart has talked to Jerry Lawler about, doing stuff in the studio with Jerry Lawler and Hulk Hogan to set up Jerry Lawler Hulk Hogan matches. Now, I don't know if this will ever happen, but I know that that's...
I wonder if Hogan is aware of this. Actually, probably is if Jimmy's talking about it.
No, I'm sure he's aware of it. If I'm aware of it, and I'm aware of it from many different people, Hogan's aware of it.
Hogan is definitely aware of it.
Yeah, of course he is. Anyway, this is more of this. Even though ECW is filing for bankruptcy, will they still be able to sell and produce DVDs and home videos as a means to bring in future revenue that can pay off their debt? What will probably happen, although there will be a lot of steps for this to happen, is I'm expecting WWF will get the rights to do that stuff. As I think the WWF will end up buying the videotape library of ECW. So at that point, the WWF could put out tapes, but ECW won't get any of that.
It wouldn't go towards paying the debt.
Yeah, I don't think there will be no more. I don't think there will be any future things put out by ECW. But I mean, as far as like what's already out there now, they will be able to take in whatever revenue from stuff that's already out there to alleviate the debt, however little they can. I mean, like some of the there's significant amount of pay-per-view money due, and that will be, but I mean, all that money coming in that's going to come in doesn't, they're still going to end up, oh my God, 4.7 million less than they owe.
Mm-hmm. I heard some of those figures on the bankruptcy filing might have been a little bit low as far as what's owed to certain people.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
It doesn't matter because none of them are going to see any
No,
money,
because it's what Paul Heyman claims, what the people themselves claim. Obviously, is going to be higher because all those guys never got paid for pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I mean, I had seen contracts from ECW, and the way it's worded is you are not guaranteed money for pay-per-views. I mean, it's said that like you sort of there could be money for pay-per-views, but it's not guaranteed. So it's not like he technically owes it. It's sort of like a bonus, and he just never paid anyone any bonuses. That's why like a lot of these guys will have like hugely different ideas of how much Paul owes them than Paul claims. But that's because they probably didn't read their contract close enough, or maybe maybe some of them are right too. I mean, there's two sides to every story. But I know the contracts that I have seen that pay-per-view money is not guaranteed. I mean, it's sort of like implied, but it's not guaranteed. Let's see. I just listened to the archived Wrestling Observer Live with Max Payne and was curious to know if there's any plans for him to be back on the show once his movie comes out. Oh, when his movie comes out, he'll be back on the show.
If we wait for his movie to come out, he will never return to the show.
But he will be on this show again, I would presume, long before that movie comes out. Let's see. What do you think of this for King of the Ring? Rather than filling the tournament with all the mid-carders and hope to elevate someone, why not fill the tournament out with all the big names? Austin, Triple H, Undertaker, Kane, Benoit, Jericho, Angle, and Rock.
And then have someone elevated in the finals.
And then imagine if Benoit went through Angle, Hunter, and Austin in one night and won the King of the Ring.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine that.
Good one.
Imagine that. 3 former King of the Ring, 3 former World
Champions. Maybe
Champions.
Jericho, too, huh?
That would set up a Benoit-Austin title match for the July pay-per-view, which will be...
Jericho could go through X-Pac, Hunter, and China, and win the whole thing.
Yeah, and would consider Benoit to be a serious contender since, so anyway. Hey, they could do it. They can do anything they want. It's up to them. They're hiring new writers again.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny of all the places to look for a new writer. Hotjobs.com.
I couldn't
For all of you
believe
that send us your booking ideas, please go to
Hotjobs.com. They're looking for...
And you can
WWF
apply for your own position in the WWF.
As a writer.
There's clerical positions. A writer.
Probably for WCW.
That's right. You could write for WCW.
I'm guessing, although, I mean, they go through writers really quick. It's a big burnout job, and they're always looking for new young writers. And they're supposed to be young and funny. That's what they want. And it would be good if they know wrestling, but obviously...
That's not a prerequisite.
It's not a prerequisite in some cases. Let's see. I was reading the feedback, and I was wondering, where did this whole Chris Jericho thing get started? He came to the WWF, and he had blonde hair, and that's where it got started. Can you give us the names of some wrestlers who are definitely not going to be part of the new WCW? As far as definitely not, I mean, Vampiro, Mike Modest, Chris Daniels, Luger, Bagwell, I would say have a pretty bad chance. Who else is on the definite not list? Sid Vicious, I don't believe they'll take him. Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
Any other definite nots? It's got to be
Nails.
Nails, Bam Bam Bigelow. Shane Douglas. He goes, I'm very curious about Jamie Noble. Well, I can tell you about Jamie Noble is that he will be given a shot. I can't say 100%, but I can say 99%. I'm sure, and I'll even 99.5%. They're actually doing I shouldn't talk about this, but they're doing talent evaluations, a lot of that, right around now. Let's see. How about WCW Saturday Night with Shane McMahon? This is from Scott Foy.
How about WCW? Oh, did they already do Saturday Night Live? Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Scott Foy, I can't get over those awful names on WF.com. It has to be a rib. Anyway, in addition to some other names, he sent in some names yesterday. Here's a few more names. WCW Mid-Carters of Wrestling. WCW under new management. That WCW show. WCW Damned. Shane the WWF Slayer. WCW The Final Chapter. A Connecticut Yankee in Ted Turner's Court. And WWF 2 Wrestling Fan Zero. And finally, keeping with TNN's brilliant marketing campaign, WCW Pop This. Actually, we got, last night, I got several emails for people suggesting, tongue-in-cheek, of course, the name of the show should be WCW Pop. Let's see.
I like WCW Damned. Really? That's a great name.
Yeah. Who's funnier, William Regal or Kurt Angle? I say Regal. To me? Regal's funnier to me. It's close, huh? It is close. They're both really funny.
I would go with Regal.
Okay. Oh, that's where I went, too.
Especially lately. Angle's had to do too much of the badass deal. And I don't want to complain about that, but Regal's...
What was the last match you gave 5 stars to? I think that was Kawada and Masafuchi against Yuji Nagata and Takashi Iizuka from the New Japan pay-per-view in December. Now, this is from Sean, who says, Brian, your response to Sarah's email was incredible. Keep it up.
Oh, thanks.
Okay. Rank these guys from best to worst. Hoovy Ray, Sikosa Super Crazy.
From best to worst?
Okay, worst is Sikosis right now. And he's pretty damn good after watching that match he just had Friday night. Hoovy's the most talented for sure of the 4. And Ray and Crazy, Crazy's not as banged up as Ray, but I think Ray, when it comes to comebacks and actual work,
being a babyface.
Yeah, being a babyface, I think he's better than Crazy. So I say Hoovy, Ray, Super Crazy, and Sikosis, but they all can be really, really good when they're on. In fact, awesome when they're on. All of them. Let's see. Who from Ohio Valley Wrestling has WWF developmental deals? Actually, probably 2/3 of the guys there, if not more. Almost the whole crew, except for some of the local guys. Who trained Buff Bagwell? Was that Jody Hamilton maybe? I really don't know.
No, I have a quick question, though. Is Sheldon signed to a WWF developmental deal?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Well, then that might be why he
Maybe
might not be on the program.
Oh, he's not allowed on the program?
I've been trying to get in touch with him and haven't heard back from him, so.
Oh, I hope he's there.
What about Chris Ford? Can we get him? He just had the dark match.
Actually,
no, until he's signed. If they sign him to a contract like next week, no, but until they sign him, he can come. Yeah, because we had Nova on.
Yeah.
Nova did dark matches. Okay, what are his chances of what are Buff Bagwell's chances of sticking around with WWF or WCW? Not good.
Slim.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna go one more and we'll go to a break. I heard that Vince McMahon is going to ship all his heavyweights to WCW and make WWF one big light heavyweight division. Oh, yeah, right, okay. This is from Sanu, who goes, instead of turning Austin, they should have turned Jericho on Austin. It would have been a fresh program with Austin as a face, and Jericho's getting boring as a face. They should turn him heel. They could have done that. I've been saying they should turn Jericho for a long time, but now they're so weak on the babyface side that they probably shouldn't, but he is stale as a babyface.
But there's no point of him being a babyface unless he's going to be a top babyface, because that's what they're short on.
Yeah.
If they have no intention of pushing him as a top babyface, just turn him heel.
Yeah, that's true. If they're really not going to give him any chance, that's true. Let's see. Are Joey Matthews and Christian York going to start right away with WWF or be sent to Memphis or OVW? I would guess they're going to be sent to Memphis. Let's see. How did the WWF go about airing SummerSlam 92 in the United States? I don't get that. They just did.
It was from the UK.
Yeah. Yeah, so?
So he's wondering about the time delay.
Well, they aired it on tape delay. They aired it like 17 hours late, is what they did.
There's your answer.
Could London be ruled out as a possibility for WrestleMania 18? Yeah, pretty much.
They're not doing a WrestleMania on tape delay.
No, especially not in this day and age with the internet and everything. They really won't. Because you got to remember 92, really it was pretty darn hard to get those results before the show. And in fact, what's funny is I got the results before the show and they were all wrong. So what did it matter? That's how
Someone
bad.
sent you fake results?
No. Someone who was there, and they just, they forgot, there was a DQ finish and they didn't know which guy went over, things like that. But I mean, everyone had.
Did you do it for the hotline or something?
I don't know if I did the hotline by '92. I don't remember when I started doing the hotline. I don't think so. But anyway, I just think, actually, I know I did the hotline. What am I saying? Definitely had a hotline. No, I don't. Forget this. I don't think I did. Anyway, it's '92. I don't remember. It's like 10 years ago. And it was just like one card. But I do remember that in the Warrior
Savage. How
Savage.
different it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, SummerSlam could have aired on tape delay, and nobody would have known.
And nobody knew. That's right. And you know
what?
There
was no hotline.
Well, can I tell you something? On the original WrestleMania, the first WrestleMania, it aired on a 3-hour tape delay on the West Coast, and they pretended it was live, and nobody knew the difference, and it was already over when we started it. And the second WrestleMania, the New York and Chicago aired on tape delay on the West Coast. We got LA live, like the rest of the country got New York. I think it was New York, Chicago, LA. Okay, and we on the West Coast got LA, New York, Chicago. Was it in that order? I think it was LA, Chicago, New York, maybe. I don't even remember now. And it was funny because they were like flipping over, like they would have different things said. So there was actually problems in doing it that way, which is one of the reasons, by the way, why they've never done a 3-city WrestleMania again, because it wasn't a total mess, but it wasn't pretty good either.
And then look, like 10 years later, Pride results up on the website pretty much 5 minutes after each match takes place. You can watch Abu Dhabi.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
I
had that Pride stuff up, literally like a minute after the finish of every match. I mean, I was up there in the middle of rounds updating that thing. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
What's going to be like 10 years down the road?
Oh, we'll be able to watch everything live that we want. We'll have a zillion stations, and we'll be watching. I've been still
Except
waiting.
Me, I'll still have 30.
No, but we'll be, we'll
in
be
fact, by then I might have 10.
You'll probably try
upgrades.
You'll try to fix your box and you won't have any.
I know.
Yeah. Let's see. Have you ever thought of being a WF booker? I can't say I've never thought of it, but I've never thought of it for more than about 5 minutes. This is from Dustin, who says, on his show today, Eddie Goldman said that Pride was the most corrupt martial arts organization in the world. Eddie doesn't like Pride. Would you agree with that statement?
It depends on what you mean by corrupt. And if you're talking about fixing matches and stuff like that, it probably is the most corrupt martial arts organization in the world.
Yeah, because they do work matches. Yeah. But, it's a question like, worked or fixed? It's like, to me, it's just like, to me, Pride is just another form of pro wrestling because they're out there trying to draw wrestling fans, not martial arts fans. That's why they use wrestlers, and they got to protect the wrestlers because if they got beaten, thrashed really bad, nobody would want to see them anymore. So it's just a pro wrestling organization that does a lot of real matches. It was really what it is. It's not it is a martial arts organization that does fake matches. Also, it's both. It's neither fish nor fowl. So so is that bad? I mean, maybe it's good that it's like the only professional wrestling organization that actually has real matches, and it's the least corrupt professional wrestling organization. I don't know.
Everyone gets
Although
paid.
It's probably not that either, though. Let's see. Last night I attended the IFC show. It was a great show. If you're ever in Central California, you can catch IFC. I highly recommend it. They're great shows. That's usually if it was in midweek, then it's going to be pretty tough for me to go. Though Fresno's not that far. I mean, I remember. When they had the fights in Fresno one night, I don't remember what it was, but they had fights in Fresno and a whole bunch of guys were fighting, and they came over to my house like at 4 a.m. that night. It's like I think they called from Fresno and said we'll be over in like 3 hours to watch like fight videos. So I was like sleep on the couch, and then at 4 a.m. the bell rings and there's all these fighters.
Dog starts barking.
The dog starts barking. Yeah, I remember that. That was quite a night. Why did WCW let so many wrestlers use their real names and not give them gimmicks so they could protect the characters they made? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Does WWF own the rights to the Sting character? No, Steve Worden does, if I'm correct, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And what does Noah mean? It's the guy with the boat, right? Seriously. Yeah. Let's see. What the hell is the WWF doing? The Hardy Boys in an angle with Austin and Triple H. What about HBK? WWF has sucked lately. Hey, HBK, don't blame the WWF for him.
He'd be right there, but he screwed up.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Brian asked about Jericho injuring people. What about potatoing China, and then guys got upset about it because he went backstage and wouldn't apologize? Is that true? Is that true?
I never heard the story about him not going back and apologizing.
I never
He gave
did
her a
either.
black eye. There's a lot of people that get black eyes in wrestling. Vince gave his own son a black eye. I've got a black eye.
Yeah.
It can happen.
Yeah.
How can you have
It
a
happens all the
wrestling
time.
match and
It
never
happens
get a
all the
black
time.
eye?
Yeah. Regal got one from Al Snow, right?
Yeah, Regal got one from Al Snow. Huge black eye.
Yeah. Vince got one from Bret Hart. Oh.
Well,
I know, that doesn't count.
Bret was stiff.
Yeah. I'm 16 and I saw Bash at the Beach in 1989 live. I've been watching wrestling ever since. I think I'm one of the select few wrestling fans my age like that. So he saw it live, so he was 5 years old. Still a hell of a show. That was a hell of a show, though.
Saw it when he was 5, and he was still a fan afterwards.
That was a great show. Why wouldn't you still be a fan after that show?
Which
if every
show?
show was like that, if every show was like that Bash show in '89, there would be much more
Oh,
wrestling.
okay, sorry, never mind.
You were thinking Bash of '91?
I was thinking about the Beach show.
Oh yeah, well I could see that. Brian, you know, we never talked about this. Okay, were you riding waves during the Sting and Ming match?
I think I saw that match.
Okay, I was riding waves, so maybe that wasn't it. 'Cause people are like sure that we've actually met, and I was
We
thinking,
have
you know,
never
there is a
met.
possibility.
I think I may have given Dave a flyer for the newsletter at that beach.
Okay,
but I would not have
did
known
get-
who he was at the time.
Okay, I did get a flyer for your newsletter at that beach. Absolutely,
But I wasn't
did.
the only person giving those things out. I had
So I don't
lackeys with me.
Okay, well, I may have met a lackey then.
We've never met.
see.
Why is it hard to believe? Why would we lie about that? Because of the one day that I lied that I was at your house?
Don't worry. He did it again. Vince Russo isn't going to WoW. He swerved us. He's booking Noah. That's pretty good. Let's see. He's it's from Harry Simon, who's coming up with the Let's Screw with Bret Hart trivia. Oh my God. He goes, am I right in thinking Barry Windham was one of the wrestlers who boycotted the morning after Montreal Raw? No, Barry Windham, the only guy I think who did was Mick Foley. Wasn't that right? And
Wasn't
Owen
it
Hart?
Mick Foley and one other guy? I thought one other guy did.
Owen Hart.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone else. Neidhart was there. So
There was this was kind of like the WCW did. There was about 16 million people on Sunday night who were
everyone.
boycott.
Everyone on Monday morning after that match was not going to go. But you know what? Actually, what happened was a lot of them called up Brett and said, like, we're not going to go. And he told every one of them, go. Don't give him an excuse to fire you. So I mean, the only one, and I mean, he told that to Foley too, but Foley still wouldn't go. And so those were the only two who didn't go.
Vince would have been an idiot to fire anybody, though. They could start. WCW could have done the invasion. Well, they wouldn't have because they screwed up, but they could have done the invasion all over again.
Well, they tried with Rick Rude and Davey Boy and Neidhart. They got them all, and boy, that. Although I will not blame ever. I will never blame them for WCW for not pushing Davey Boy and Neidhart because they were absolutely unpushable at that time.
Yes.
Let's see. What is the new WCW going to be like if none of the top stars get a buyout? Time will tell. We don't know. What did you think of the Vince Russo skit on the Torch? I haven't read anything on the Torch website in like months, but Bruce Mitchell asked me to read that, so I did. And actually, I read everything on the Torch website last night since I was already up there. But it was very funny. Can you imagine what a healthy and happy Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels would add to the world of wrestling today? Yeah, you know what? The happy and healthy Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, I would enjoy wrestling a lot because those guys were great. Let's see. This was the exact quote, by the way, from... God, we're talking about Russo again. Do you know what the Miss WCW contest as badly produced what it was? Beat Raw every minute for 7 minutes when they were head-to-head, and the contest ran smack up against the return of Steve Austin. Amazing, isn't it? So that's the exact quote. So the thing we were told yesterday was untrue. Let's see. Would it be easier for someone to start up a promotion on another English-speaking country and then get television and bring it to the United States? No. We're not good at accepting foreign products compared to other countries. What feud was the Funk Briscoe or Flair Steamboat for the 90s? Misawa Kawada. Let's see. I just want to say I really enjoyed the Who Wants to Beat the Crap Out of Shawn Michaels trivia.
That guy got some
Ken
hate mail,
Shamrock.
too. I'll have to put that up.
What?
Harry, for that trivia.
Yeah.
Some people were very
yeah.
angry about that. Even even the idea of creating that.
What, the Michaels one? The Michaels one was
Yeah.
hilarious. That was
Well,
hilarious.
they didn't like it
Why?
because he was
Tell me
insulting
why.
Shawn Michaels,
Yeah, but it's
the greatest
all
wrestler of
tongue-
all time.
It's all tongue in cheek. So, I mean, well, he's not the greatest wrestler of all
I think
time.
it's
but
our
if you-
readership. You know how they are about Shawn Michaels. I shouldn't say that, but you know,
No,
same
no,
thing
no,
with
no, no.
all the young
Shawn-
guys on the show that come on and idolize
Okay, but
Michaels.
Even if Shawn's the greatest wrestler of all time, that doesn't mean you can't tell jokes.
That's true.
Does
but
it?
People were offended.
Especially when they're all true. I mean, it's not like
I know, that's the whole thing.
I mean, you didn't make that up. I mean, hey, it's like, hey, none of us ever say Shawn Michaels was a bad wrestler. I mean, even the people who hate his guts the worst can never say that because then you're just like branded idiot. You know what I mean? If you say something stupid as that. Okay, this is to take it one step further. This is from Richard Sullivan. Dory Funk Jr. and Jack Briscoe wrestling for the Mid-Atlantic title in 1983 were actually better matches than the Funk-Briscoe NWA title classics of 10 years earlier, even though both were past their prime by that time, and neither was one of the top 10 workers in the world by that point. I would compare it to the Wright brothers flying a DC-9 or a 747 and doing a good job at it, but still not having the reflexes of a younger pilot with more experience flying a modern aircraft. Let's see. Any chance of having Dusty Rhodes on the show soon? Yeah, I hope so. Let's see. Well, let's go to the phones. We'll start with Jack in Nevada. Jack, what's going on?
Not much, Dave. First time caller, long time listener, though. I
Thank
first
you.
want to say that, Brian, I enjoy your sense of humor a whole lot. You make this show, in my opinion.
Wow.
I think so, too.
Anyways, I wanted to ask you what you thought of WCW's chances if they don't get any of these guys that are tied up in these Time Warner contracts. Like Booker T and DDP and Goldberg, whatnot.
Well, they're going to
I
probably
think
end
you
up
can't
with
even
Booker
say
T.
right now. I think it's going to take like 3 weeks of TV, because if 3 weeks of TV go by, they don't have any of those guys, and fans are chanting their name, their ratings are low, I'm sure they'll do something.
Because I sent in a letter, basically talking about, Kidman and Awesome, and a guy like Lance Storm who could easily be like, I think, the next Bret Hart. Do you think they could, headline?
No, not yet. I mean, now, if they worked with headliners and had really great matches in due time, I think they could, but right off the bat, absolutely not. They're not over enough for people to accept them as headliners.
Do you think, though, that, guys like 3 Count and the Young Dragons could pull off the TLC kind of matches we're seeing now as far as tag teams go?
Oh, we've already seen them do it.
That's what I'm
Remember
saying.
they did it at Starrcade or whatever? They had their match was tremendous.
And they'd
Perfect.
actually get the push, with Vince
If
behind them.
and then
They'll
get
have a
push.
better chance of getting a push now than they did then.
That's what I would think.
Yeah, they will, because there's not as much. There's not. Well, first of all, there's nobody on top to hold anyone down, so everyone sort of got a chance. And also, the political structure's greatly changed, and for the better too.
Plus, if
Hopefully
anything,
for
with the
them.
way the TV is set up now with no competition, they're doing so many replays and everything like that, that if there's a tremendous match, we'll see a ton of it on the next show. Just replays and
You know what's
everything,
interesting?
photos.
Now, here's an interesting one. If somebody went out there and just had this killer match on Saturday night, would they show us clips on Monday? Because they got to use Monday. If they don't use Monday to drive Saturday, and they really try to keep them that separate, it's going to be tough. They got to use Monday to drive Monday and Thursday to drive Saturday, at least at the beginning. Well, not even at the beginning, always.
Maybe they could do like the old, remember the NWO used to do those deals where they'd pay for commercial time or whatever? They'll have to do something like that, because they can't just have Jim Ross go, well, let's take a look at what happened on WCW Hard On this past Saturday night with the Young Dragons.
WCW.
They'll have to do a deal where, Shane McMahon buys commercial time and airs a commercial, and then they're back to Raw again.
Well,
Jim Ross ignores it.
Maybe Linda just makes a ruling. I'm the CEO, and I'm giving them like 10 minutes of time to promote their product every week.
Yeah, it has to be something like that. They just can't have Ross talk about it.
But they've got to drive it. I mean, hey, they use they try, and it hasn't really succeeded, but they try to use Raw and SmackDown to drive XFL. I mean,
Yeah, but
every week.
XFL isn't supposed to be considered like a rival organization.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they could just do the Linda McMahon thing I said. It's not a problem.
Yep.
Did you hear anything about the house show match last night with Jerry Lynn Crash, Holly, and Dean Malenko? My cousin told me it was spectacular. I just heard that. That's all I've heard. Let me see. With such a lack of wrestling shows nowadays, I've been forced to dig into my tape collection to find entertainment. Watching old tapes, several questions spring to mind. Any answer would be appreciated. Everybody always lists Ric Flair's greatest opponent as Ricky Steamboat or Sting. Nobody says Sting.
I don't think
Flair
anyone
just said
says
that
Sting except Ric Flair in the work promo.
Flair said on that last show, just because he was building up a match, everyone always says Ricky Steamboat. After rewatching several of his matches with Ronnie Garvin, I have to say Ronnie Garvin should be up on any list of his best opponents. Yeah, Ronnie Garvin and Ric Flair had a different kind of match. They just beat the hell out of each other, and they were great matches. Almost all of their matches were awesome. I don't think he was a good choice as NWA champion. No, he was a horrible choice, actually. In Flair's rematch, after losing the title, the crowd cheered for him way more than Garvin. Yeah, absolutely. Can you explain who was the booker that gave Garvin the NWA title and the reason he was picked for the spot? The booker was Dusty Rhodes, and maybe we'll get Dusty on and give the answer. I think that, what it was that it was Starrcade coming up, and they really didn't have a program
Remember
for
when
Ric
Dusty
Flair.
asked, what's a Dusty finish?
Well, that was a classic. But when they were building up the Starrcade in 1987 on pay-per-view, which they ended up barely getting on pay-per-view, but that's another story. They were just looking for a quickie title switch for Flair, and I think that they didn't want to beat any that like Dusty was a top babyface, Nikita, Koloff was around. I forget who else was around, but they had a list, and I think that they just didn't want Flair to beat anyone clean, but Ronnie Garvin, they figured he could beat clean, and he was like number 7 babyface at the time. But him and Flair did have a really big, good program of matches, so it wasn't like he was totally undeserving in people's eyes. I mean, so they went with Ronnie Garvin, and the crowd, everyone loved Ronnie Garvin when he was wrestling Ric Flair until he beat Ric Flair. And the minute they saw Ronnie Garvin with that world belt, with Ric Flair's belt, and they realized this guy is no Ric Flair, and he got booed every night, everywhere. And it was so bad they actually stopped doing world title matches after a week into that reign because, they had him defend against like Ivan Koloff and Big Bubba Rogers because they knew that he couldn't draw as a main eventer. And actually it was a really bad situation because the ratings in that quarter dropped 25% on WCW. I don't know if it was called Saturday Night. I think it was called World Championship Wrestling then. When they switched the belt from Flair to Ronnie Garvin. I mean, that's what the belt meant in those days. When the belt was on the wrong guy, people wouldn't watch wrestling and people wouldn't pay for tickets. And attendance went down. Everything went down. Although the Starrcade match, in Chicago was a sellout and Flair got it back. Let's see. Where do we have? Do you remember what you thought of those matches? I mean, the matches were very good, no doubt. How come Jimmy Snuka and Bob Orton didn't have matches in the first WrestleMania? I think they couldn't trust Snuka, and Bob Orton was doing a broken arm gimmick. I don't remember if he was. I think he may have been hurt at one point. They were serving as glorified managers of the main event, but they were very good workers and really over. I don't understand why they didn't have a match on the card. I think they didn't want to make that main event into a 6-man tag. Might have been part of it, too. Watching old world-class tapes is really sad, yeah, because everybody in that promotion, and not just the Von Erichs, when you watch those old world-class tapes, I mean, the ring announcer, everyone's dead. The referee, it's really, okay. Okay. It's hard to see the Von Erichs not be reminded of the dark cloud around that name. I heard a story that Fritz Von Erich sold 8x10 promo photos of David and Mike at their funerals. Have you heard the story? That is not true. What it was I was at and this is actually something that the family has denied, but it is true because I was at the show, at the David Von Erich Parade of Champions, which was a wrestling show in April, which was about 2 or so months after David Von Erich died. In fact, it was a show we talked about a couple of days ago with Ric Flair and Kerry, where Kerry won the title. They were selling photos of David at that show, which I thought, when I was there, I was going like, this is kind of weird. And people were buying them like crazy. But they did not sell photos of him at the funeral. That is not true. Let's start with Wes. Wes, what's up?
Hey, guys, how's it going?
Going really good.
Hey, the thing about Ronnie Garvin, though, back in '87, they kind of built him up that whole year with the Jim Cornette, the Fireball incident, and then during the summer, Jimmy and Flair had that program, Ever Precious, and then he came and knocked him out in the pool. And they did give him a full year build-up.
Yeah, he just wasn't the guy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I remember, Jimmy, actually, that showed how good Ric Flair was. Ric Flair even got decent matches out of Jimmy.
Yeah.
Man, Jimmy was terrible then. I mean, Jimmy had a good act, but, I mean, God, he didn't do nothing in the ring by then.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to ask you in terms of going back to that Flair final interview on Nitro, when he brought up Vince McMahon Sr., I thought, though, when Buddy Rogers left, I thought they were out of the NWA then.
Okay, here's the deal.
They were back in briefly.
That was more than briefly. No, what happened was, in '63, they were out of the NWA. Until, I'm thinking, 72. The whole reign of Bruno Sammartino the first time, they called him World Heavyweight Champion, and they were not members of the NWA. And then the NWA got really strong, and, Mushnick got Vince Sr. into the NWA. 71, 72 was when Dory Funk Jr. was world champion, I remember. And then Vince Sr. remained in the NWA from 72 until, I'm guessing, 82 when he turned the promotion over to Junior, and, Junior went against everyone. So during that, in 81, Vince Sr. was in the NWA and probably had a hand in deciding the champion, even though, Vince Sr. almost never booked the NWA champion. I mean, that's why
it's so confusing. I don't ever recall looking over any old results ever seen an NWA.
Yeah, Race defended the title a couple of times in WWF cities. I mean, and there were some Race Dusty Rhodes, Race Bob Backlund title versus title matches at the Garden, but very rare. And but if you look at the programs from Madison Square Garden and some of the other arenas in the WWF, they would actually list like Bob Backlund as WWF champion and Harley Race as world champion, even though Harley never actually, or almost never, would appear.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I was kind of a bit confused on that. Also, in regards to the WCW and everything, well, I don't particularly like how they've done it so far, but, I mean, with Shane McMahon in particular, I mean, with the whole thing back on Raw a couple of weeks ago at WWF New York, I mean, it just didn't have the same, considering they own it, they would have kicked him out of the building, but considering that, I just didn't think it had the same impact as when Scott Hall came down on Nitro, but, that time, and, when Nash came out the next week and shoved, the guy running the company, Eric Bischoff, down it. But, I mean, did y'all view that the same way, or is that just me, maybe,
No, the other one was more dramatic.
It's more because in, the last 6 years, there's just so much more information about wrestling out, and everybody knew, everybody who was really following it knew that this was going to happen, and that there was going to be some sort of angle when it did. But, I think that casual fans that watched that, reaction that we got from people that were there at Nitro when it happened, it was like their jaw dropped when Vince appeared at the beginning of Nitro. And I think that for a lot of casual fans, that's how it was. But, for me, it was it was just nothing. It was something, but as far as a big angle, I just knew it was a big angle because of what it was, but it didn't really strike me as the Scott Hall thing did.
Well, it's, the whole, we just don't know because it's all how it plays out.
Yeah.
And, we haven't even seen the first TV. They haven't even planned the first TV. This is a work in progress, and that's a very dangerous term because the last work in progress,
WCW's been a work in progress for years now, unfortunately.
It's going to depend on how the casual fan looks at it. If the casual fan buys it, it'll be just fine, but if they don't, it won't. It doesn't matter what, the 2% of people that know everything that's going on think about it.
Yeah, do you think that maybe he purchased it? Do you think he was surprised Bischoff didn't get TV? Because, the only reasons he would have done it would be to do it in an interpromotional angle, but not having the big names, obviously it's going to be hard, and the other reason would be to keep, the talent, the 24 they got, and some of the other guys away from Bischoff. Did that enter his mind, you think?
No, I don't think so, because I think that I think they knew the television landscape. When they started negotiating for it, okay? They didn't know that Bischoff was going to strike out looking for TV, but when they signed the contract, Bischoff had already struck out. So when they made the decision about
the fact that they were negotiating before the shows got canceled really kind of tells you something about what Vince knew, or maybe what Vince had
that the shows were going to get canceled.
Yeah, because if the shows never got canceled, why would they be negotiating? Because they knew
he couldn't take it. He couldn't take it.
So something must have been up there.
So Vince McMahon may have had a hand in those things being canceled, in that was the only way he would take it. It also tells me that they really didn't want to sell it to Fusion. Even though they made that big announcement, they did that press conference, and, said that, the deal's just about done, which, Fusion didn't even want that press conference. That was Brad Siegel. But then when Brad Siegel went to, the WWF, and, when those negotiations reopened, I know, it's funny because, you get told things, and you just kind of, they go through your head. And then a couple weeks later, you start thinking about things that you'd heard. And one of the things I heard was that what Stuart Snyder had been told, this is way before the Fusion thing fell apart and any of that news came out, that the people who were negotiating, from the Time Warner side, had told Stuart Snyder that they were not going to sell to Fusion. And that's why they were opening up negotiations to WWF. And,
Why would it really matter who they sold to, though?
I think that they felt that, because the Fusion deal, you've seen the deal, it was a certain amount of money, not a big amount of money up front. It was like $5 million up front and then $2 million every year.
And I think payment deal.
the payment deal, and I think that they felt that after, after 1 year they'd never get any money, and that these guys would go bankrupt on their air. And the other way, at least
they got
wrestling's
the money up
gone.
Front.
Wrestling's gone, and even if it's not all up front, the whole point is, the WWF's
it's
not going
coming
out
from
of
the
business.
WWF, which isn't going to die in a year.
Yeah, or 2 years. Yeah, they're getting all their money, and and also with Fusions, TBS was going to maintain a stock in the company, so they would be on the hook for God knows what. And I think they just wanted this thing gone. And with WWF, they sold it 100%. They didn't sell 87%, like was the deal to Fusion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My last question was, is there any word on when maybe that MattRats.com promotion might be on TV? I know on their website they've got some poll that you can vote for what station. Some of them are laughable, like ESPN's on one of the ones. But have you heard anything when they might, in terms of...
Is that how easy it is?
You know what they should vote? They should vote for NBC in prime time on Thursday after Friends.
Yeah, why not?
They're going to vote
votes.
for something. Yeah. I mean, as the big competition for Survivor.
So you don't know when...
No, they don't have any TV deals. They're so far from that.
I don't think there's going to be any TV soon.
And you don't think...
I mean, if Bischoff couldn't get it with Fox, who's going to take
what does it tell you? What's Matt Rat's going to get?
Yeah. So I guess they'll be doing webcam.
There's going to be a lot of webcams. You know what, though? If they have, what the hell is Jason Hervey's company? Mandalay behind them. That webcast may last for a while, so. But don't expect TV.
If they're willing to do it. And the thing is, if there was a way, who knows where technology is going to be in 5-10 years?
Yeah, down the road, it may not be a big deal to have it on the internet, because everyone may have, little internet TVs or whatever. Who knows how it's going to happen, but as far as, network TV, anything like that, or cable TV.
Yeah, you'll get the stuff on demand, and you'll get, who knows where technology is going to be? Of course, it's not going to be like this next year, though.
No, they'd probably be out of business by then. Well, I appreciate the comments, guys. Thanks.
This is from Mike, who says, didn't Kane boycott the next day after the Bret Hart incident? No, he did not. This is the things that are being said today in the dressing room about Chris Jericho. I'm not going to say who said them. Anyway. Hey, Vince, WCW needs someone really charismatic, like Chris Jericho. He's not getting enough of a chance here. Hey, Vince, I think Chris Jericho should be in another program with Chris Benoit. Hey, Vince, Jericho doesn't need to be pushed anymore.
That one's true.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Vince, Jericho doesn't need to be pushed anymore. He's too old. He should help elevate the up-and-coming young stars like X-Pac and China. Hey, Vince, if there's anyone in our company who can get a good match out of Kane or The Big Show, it's Chris Jericho. Hey, Vince, Chris Jericho needs more television time. We should make him host Sunday Night Heat. And, hey, Vince, Chris Jericho hurts people in the ring. China wouldn't lie about anything.
Speaking of people hurting people in the ring, China is brutal.
Yeah. Let's see. This is actually, I know this is tongue-in-cheek, but I got to read it anyway. This is like someone who's, I bet Dave's not going to, I want Dave to read this and it sounds stupid, but it's just too funny for me. Because I'm 13 years old, so I'm not familiar with Japanese wrestling. Is this Champion Carnival thing I read so much take place at an actual carnival? The answer to that is no. Let's see. How good a worker is Brian? A lot better than you think. He's a very good independent worker. If Fox wants to get lower ratings than the XFL, they could air an hour-long special like When Animals Attack. They could use the best of, as if there's ever anything good came out of that show. They could air clips of Vince Russo's WCW tenure called When Work Shoots Go Bad. Let's see. As for pushing the WCW Saturday Night Show on Monday, why not have Shane steal television time with a 1 or 2 minute pirate satellite feed? This would also push the Vince Shane storyline, promote the WCW product at the same time.
What I thought was I thought there were two good things they've done so far. The first one was Monday when Jim Ross is in the room with Vince McMahon and he goes, yes, I've also talked to my lawyer. And he goes, if you fire me, I may go work for your son Shane in WCW. And everyone popped huge. And it was like, even if he never goes now, at least Jim Ross saying that is giving some legitimacy to WCW, like it is a viable alternative. Because that's what they need to do. I mean, it's not like Jim Ross would say, or like Vince would go, if I fire you, you're going to have to go to WCW. And Ross goes, oh my God, no, not that. He's actually putting it over as something that's okay. And then, I completely forgot what the other thing was.
No, that's good though. That's good. Because I have a different opinion from most of your listeners. Bret Hart, I feel, is a better wrestler than Shawn Michaels. I mean, I think everybody would say that Bret Hart was a technically better wrestler than Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was the more spectacular of the two. I mean, as far as which one you think was better, it's a matter of taste. It bothers me that he isn't as highly regarded. In some ways, he's more highly regarded. In some ways, he's not. If Bret had been an ungrateful, pig-headed prima donna like Shawn Michaels, he could have bailed on Vince with a WWF belt. In the words of Kurt Angle, Shawn has intensity and intelligence. I don't know if he has intelligence. He definitely has intensity. But he lacks integrity. He wouldn't be the only one. Let's see.
Hey, the other thing was SmackDown, when Vince is talking about, I don't have Shane under contract. And he has that concerned look on his face, and I thought, Vince is going to be able to reenact everything that happened in 1996 when he suddenly realized, I didn't have Lex Luger under contract. I didn't have Medusa under contract. And so on. His guys jump ship.
Well, no, Medusa was fired.
Oh, that's right. She was fired.
Medusa was fired and then she showed up on the other show. I mean, Medusa didn't jump. She got fired first. Luger, he had under contract. There was just a loophole. And I don't know what the loophole was, but obviously there was one because he was telling, he was going to sue Luger.
Was he under contract? I thought it was something like his contract expired like Saturday or something.
No, Luger was under contract, but there was some loophole in the contract that Luger's lawyer got him out of on some technicality that they didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a contract technicality. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. You mentioned that the ring announcer for World Class was dead. I think that was Ralph Pulley. How did he die? I think it was AIDS. How did Rick Stewart die? I think that was AIDS too. I could be wrong on both cases. That's how Rick Stewart, I'm pretty sure that's how. I'm pretty much sure. I think Ralph Pulley too. I think they both died of AIDS. What is the relationship between Phil Mushnick and this Mushnick guy you were talking about who was friends with Vince Sr.? None. Let's see. I heard Billy Gunn is trying to buy out Road Dogg for 2 hours and use him sparingly for 5 minutes a month so he can carry his ass again. That's a good one. Let's see. Stan Chavez. I just went back and watched the Great American Bash of 1989 and 1996. 1989 was so great. Then I got to 1996. I remember liking the show more when it aired. The show wasn't as good as I thought. The football player stuff was stupid. Actually, it was great that night. Benoit Sullivan was really cool, and the post-match angle with Arn Anderson tore down the house. Ray and Dean Malenko was so goddamn good. The funny thing was they spent 3/4 of the match on the mat. The Giant versus Lex Luger was awful. Page against Bagwell was weak. Big Bubba was and a partially shaved John Tenta was god-awful. Conan and Elgato was pathetic. The Steiners against Fire and Ice was the Steiners' worst match ever. I think you need to take that pay-per-view off the best list ever. The promos on the show backstage.
Hold on. What happened with John Tenta again? Why did he only shave half his head? I vaguely remember this.
Because he wanted everyone to know how humiliated he was. I forget. There was a reason. The promos on that show backstage were horrible. I thought that I was in a time warp, and I didn't realize how much better the promos actually got. Arn Anderson was in top form, though. Let's see.
Are we going to get Tenta on this show?
I've never heard. I don't know.
I think I sent the info to Al. I'm not sure if I did, though.
I did send an email and never got a response.
Okay.
I know why the WWF won't let their guys do the show. I've been listening to every one of the shows from that short period, and when there were tons of WWF guys on, and I figured out why they wouldn't let them back. Because they were all really good and no harm was done. But then came Kurt Angle. Go back and listen to the show, and he basically tells you everything that ends up happening. So it's Kurt Angle's fault. He did hint that he was going to win King. But who didn't know Kurt Angle was going to win?
He also hinted that he was going to be a badass by summer.
Yeah, well, summer of 2004. Let's see. Oh no. I don't even want to read this. Call me stupid. And I'm about to. I truly believe in less than a year and a half, ECW will restart on cable. Okay. There you go.
That's not as good as the email I got from somebody that wanted to know how much it would cost to buy ECW because he thought he could round up enough money.
Yeah. Let's see. Have any wrestlers ever changed their name to their character name? Buddy Landel and Ultimate Warrior, they have. His legal name is Warrior, Jim Hellwig. Mm-hmm. There's probably a lot of others, actually. But those two pop into my head. What is with the lack of Edge and Christian interview time? They were doing such a great job. Did one of the writers who was doing their segments quit? Or is it just a case of Triple H think that ENC are a threat to him as the top heel tag team? Yeah, they did get that word out that they were like, what was the word out? That they were They hogged the writer and they were kiss asses, and as soon as they started getting
Why
over,
would
they
it
were
matter though? Because if one writer is fired, like nobody else knew what the idea was going to be when he's gone, and someone else couldn't just step in. Like every writer has their own secret ideas they don't share.
Yeah. After what happened?
How much
on
would
Raw
it cost to
Smack-
buy and restart ECW? Do you know how much it would cost to run per month or year once it has been purchased? I might be able to get enough money.
After what happened on Raw and SmackDown with the Hardys going over, do you think it's too much too fast? How old are they, like 23, 24? Oh, God, how old are they right now?
I think Jeff's young. Wait, Jeff might be 23 now. He's
I
young.
think Jeff's 23 or 24. I think Matt's about 27, but I don't have the ages right in front of me. I mean, winning the Intercontinental title from the number 2 man in the company would sure make them cocky. Hopefully it doesn't. And, they've
I
gone
don't think
from
the Hardys have had so much of a problem with that.
No, I mean they've gone from
Especially
nowhere
Jeff.
to superstardom. They've gone from nowhere to superstar, both of them. And no, I mean believe me, 85% to 90% of the people in this business, if they had been on a run like the Hardys, where they come out and get that deafening applause every night after, you know what I mean, it would go to their head. And I think that those guys are the exception.
Yeah, they're real humble.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's go to Steve in Arizona. Steve, what's going on?
What's up? You guys do a great job, and you make my work a whole lot more bearable. I just want to say thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And listen, a couple quick questions. Who do you guys think, and maybe this is a little too general, but is the best worker in the business today?
In the whole world?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, whole world. Maybe Benoit?
How about you, Brian?
Benoit's up there. I don't know. I would say like Kawada, but he's been injured and.
You know what? I would say Kawada ahead of Benoit because those matches that Kawada had that I've seen. Yeah, I would
he
say
hasn't been
Kawada
going
and
night
Benoit.
in and night out.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, he does wrestle every night, and he doesn't. And believe me, he sure doesn't wrestle good people.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's true.
And he did get a 4-star match at Tenryu, who was 50+ years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say Kawada and Benoit.
All right. Have you guys heard of an indie wrestler, and I don't even know if he's active anymore, named Mike Vallely out of California?
I don't know the name.
Okay.
No.
All right. And one more thing. Do you think that the push the Hardys are getting is going to change the possible main event for Backlash? I mean, to me that just seems so. It just seems so. I don't know. A lot of people I think are saying the same thing, but it just seems so. I don't know, anticlimactic. Something like Hunter and Austin versus Kane and Taker.
I mean,
I just hope they don't have like the big man mindset, and that's what they end up doing. But it was like one of those deals where, they did Hardys against Hunter and Austin on Monday, and it's like they kind of fell into something that they really didn't expect.
Yeah.
And Jeff gets his win tonight, and I think they could build it up and not do bad at all. Because remember, they had that pay-per-view with what was that pay-per-view where we didn't think it was going to do too hot because it was like Rock and Benoit headlining. And
Fully Loaded, and it did just fine.
Did fine. I think
Yeah,
awesome.
it did just fine. Yeah, with
So
Rock
I
and
think
Benoit.
they could do something with that, and I really think they should, but I kind of don't think they will.
Yeah. No, that's a shame. It's a shame because I really think, getting somebody new over like the Hardys as far as, main event status, especially at a pay-per-view, whether it's the pay-per-view after WrestleMania or even just Raw.
Okay, no. How would you do that? You would go if you go Hunter and Austin against the Hardys. I don't really like that one because there's nothing really there. Now, if you did I could see Hunter and Jeff Hardy, and then Austin against, but the problem is then who does Austin go against?
Yeah, because I don't think Matt would be.
No, Austin and Matt, he's definitely not ready for that.
No, you're right.
You could do Austin and Lita and have Lita beat him.
Oh, yeah.
And then she'll strip, right?
But see, all you really need to do is have, if you did the tag match, you could have the tag match set up Hunter and Jeff for the next pay-per-view, and then you got 4 weeks to figure out something to do with Austin. Put something in it.
Well, you could always do...
You wouldn't necessarily have to have the Austin match come out of that bout.
Well, you could always do Austin with Benoit if you had enough time to, really push it hard. But, 3 weeks is not enough time because Benoit hasn't been pushed hard enough as a babyface yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 7
Well, you
weeks,
don't necessarily
I think they
have
could
you
get
can
him
start tomorrow. You don't necessarily have to start after the next pay-per-view's over. Just start a slow build, and then after the pay-per-view's over, start, picking it up a little bit.
Regardless,
they've done great. Austin and Benoit have had great television matches already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just hope that I hope that's not the main event because
That was the plan, though.
Yeah, I know, but hopefully it'll change. Anyway, you guys take care. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, the other reason why I think that they're not going to change is because they already have the next pay-per-view main events booked, and they're stemming from this one.
Yeah.
So that's Austin and Undertaker. I heard Terry Funk a number of years ago say there would only be 1 or 2 main companies. I think he actually said that like in 1976. And that's why he sold his Amarillo territory. What do you think he would say about wrestling 10 years from now? Maybe you can get him on and see. Al, have you talked to Terry Funk or anything?
The last time I spoke to him, he says, I'm going to check my calendar and I'll get back to you. And, well, he might have forgotten, so I'll have to call him back.
Okay. More WCW show ideas. WCW minimum wage wrestlers. WCW Valley Wrestling. Oh, that's bad. WCW Saturday Stasiak.
Oh.
WCW Sunday morning. WCW Shotgun Saturday night. WCW Sold Out. So let's see. Potential taglines to help the new WCW. Luger Free Television.
How about WCW Hate the Game?
Yeah. WCW, the world's most expensive wrestling angle. Hey, we still get Kiwi. See the future WWF mid-carders before they're in the WWF. If you're at home late on a Saturday night, you're probably a wrestling fan anyway. See WCW run into the ground by that other Vince. Not actually WCW, but an amazing likeness, and please watch. Oh, some of this is good. Do you think Steen can be of any use in WWF? He's very outdated. I don't even know how he survived in WCW with his hitting his chest and saying, "Showtime, folks." I think he'd be booed like Kurt Angle, and slurs would be yelled at him by the audience. I don't know. I mean,
look at what that WCW name has caused. That name, there's something about the name. I mean, it's not even the same organization anymore. They got 24 of the wrestlers, but that's it. And this name, till the end of time, will be the butt of jokes.
Yeah, let's go to Gerard.
And WWE didn't help with their own poll.
Yeah, no, they didn't, because they're the ones who started this. What's up, Gerard?
Not much. You guys?
We're doing great.
Hey.
That's good. I have a question. Now, you're probably going to laugh, but let me ask it anyway.
We don't laugh at our callers.
Do you think, even for a short time, it's possible that Hulkamania could run wild like it's never ran before?
Like it's never ran before?
Yeah. I mean,
he's trying to make us laugh. Of course not.
Even say you go back when Vince was naming all the WCW guys, Hogan's name got a pop. When Big Show came out as Hogan, everybody was chanting Hulkster. I think that there's a lot of people my age, I'm 24, who grew up watching Hulkster being the hero, who would, like to see him back, even if it's for, a little while.
I think there's a chance that Hulkamania could run wild again, but to say it could run wild bigger than ever, there's no way.
Absolutely no chance.
What about Hogan coming back and dethroning Austin from the side of Vince?
Never happened. That one won't happen.
But with the vitamins and the prayers, anything can happen.
Yeah, as far as taking him back for one show, if he were, under the right circumstances, I could see that. As far as full time, that's going to be tough for a lot of reasons. You just don't want a cancer in, gnawing away at your federation that's making so much money.
That's understandable. And one more thing, I think that for the new WCW, they have to do what they can to get Flair, just to start it off, not wrestle, just maybe at Shane's side or something.
I just hope that the We Want Flair chants start up again.
Because
then they'll be stuck.
Yeah, they can get him. It's just a question if they want him. They can get anyone they want. It's like, it's not like they're going broke. It's not like they can't afford like Bill Goldberg's contract. They can get him. It's just, do they want to pay for him? And it's a strict business decision. And I can understand why. They wouldn't want to break the bank. I mean, if I was in Vince's shoes, I probably would work on getting Flair, and I would probably realistically say, I wouldn't get Goldberg at the beginning, and if I needed to, then I would get him. But I would wait. I would wait to see if I needed him. Because it's a lot of money, and you're breaking a salary structure at the same time. If it's worth it in the long run between this angle making and not making it, then it's worth paying him.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't sign him first. I would kind of sit back and see, okay, how's
Watch
this
that
going?
first show. We'll know so much after that first show airs.
Yeah, the first 3 weeks. Because the first show, you know what, Brian? The first show they may get a fluke good rating like XFL too.
I'm not saying so much about the rating. I'm talking about crowd reactions.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, what if there's a Goldberg chant all night that first show?
Well, then you're gonna be influenced.
What about We Want Flair chants? Remember those?
I think if you end up with Flair, it'll be a strong foot to start off on if he's there.
Well, it's it's at least a guaranteed great interview on the show if he's motivated. Because when Flair's motivated and really wants to do a good interview, he's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, that's about it.
Did you see the EMLL? You probably didn't because I don't know if you started watching it yet. It was only 2 or 3 weeks ago. When no, it was longer than that. I saw it on tape. That's right. But anyway,
I have a comp tape from the whole year though, so I can see it.
Okay, so now it was the segment where they took Emilio to the beauty parlor and had his hair done.
I didn't see that one yet.
Oh, that was so classic. Or the one where they brought him to this menswear place and they had him trying on all these suits and he comes out in this really snazzy suit. Some of that stuff at Los Guapos was so campy.
Some of those
terrible.
skits are so funny. I don't even know what they're saying, but they're just hilarious.
Oh, they're just yeah. So but anyway,
when Porky got thrown into the big fountain, he just gets attacked on the street by 2 of these luchadors in their masks, I might add.
Oh yeah, on the street, walking down the street. Yeah, the 2 heels that. Yeah. Well, what was I going to say about Scorpio? Okay, Scorpio Jr. God, how am I going to say this story? Scorpio Jr. He actually lost his mask, and I was sure he would never lose his mask because Scorpio Jr. is like one of the ugliest human beings I have ever seen. It's like some guys. Yes. Some guys. I was thinking, because I'd met him many times. Okay, and it's like this guy is never losing his mask, and then he went and did. But anyway, his father, Scorpio Sr. This is a true story. He used to wrestle in Los Angeles, and he used to feud with Chris Adams. Okay, and they used to bill it as. Chris Adams was billed as the handsomest man in wrestling, which, if he ever did that gimmick today, would be like death. But anyway, that's what they used to bill him as. Actually, when I was a kid, they used to bill a guy named Paul Diamond as the handsomest or sexiest man in wrestling.
Was this like a babyface role?
No, these were total babyface roles, to draw women and stuff.
Wow.
Oh, the Chris Adams push in Los Angeles. I mean, they used to have a Chris Adams fan club, but you could only join if you were a girl. Things like that. Oh, I'm just thinking, if they try to push a guy like this. Actually, you know what?
That'd be a hell of a gimmick for a heel.
Oh, that's a great heel gimmick today. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So they used to feud him with this guy Scorpio Sr., not Scorpio Jr., the father. And Scorpio's to feud with Chris Adams, he was billed as the ugliest man in the world. And before he ever came, Chris Adams actually brought up, did a promo, for Scorpio Sr., and said, I was wrestling in Mexico. And, Chris came to Los Angeles from wrestling in Mexico. And goes, those of you fans here in Los Angeles, I just want to warn you ahead of time, he is the ugliest man in the world. And that's where he got his nickname. So anyway, Scorpio. So anyway, his son, God.
Genetically.
His son was not good looking to begin with. And then their whole family, they're very prone to acne. And then, Scorpio Jr. started doing those other things that give you more acne. It's because he had a great body. Okay, you had to eating chocolate, right? So anyway, I just remember watching Scorpio wrestle in Tijuana. This is Scorpio Jr. now, and he would. This is so gross. He would bounce off the ropes and these.
Oh, I remember this. Oh, please.
You read about this?
Button? Yes.
Okay, these zits would pop.
I'm turning my headset off while you tell a story.
Okay, that's it. No more Scorpio stories. I got to read.
You can tell a story. I just don't want to hear it.
Okay, I just did. This is from Todd Martin, who is actually, I think, just about the best letter writer we have, and he goes, I was listening to your show on Tuesday, and I really took offense at the way you in an email said it was a double standard that women can kick men low, but men can't attack women, and implied there was something wrong with this. Of course there's a double standard. When there's widespread rape and violence toward men by women in this society, then we can start worrying about that being portrayed. When there's widespread rape violence towards men by women in our society, then we can start worrying about that being portrayed. Men and women are physically different. Don't let the male-oriented fantasy world of pro wrestling delude the very serious issue of mistreatment of women in the world. If anyone tries to say that violence by women towards men is going to have the same negative repercussions as violence by men towards women in pro wrestling, they're either completely out of touch with reality or kidding themselves. You know what? You're right. You're really right, because there's also the thing of what's taught to be okay by watching wrestling, as far as treatment of men by women, and also as a male-oriented business, there's a certain view of women, of portrayal of women as sex objects that is not there in men in pro wrestling. Segments like the one with Lita on Monday shouldn't be banned under any circumstance, but they should be treated with more caution than Linda kicking Vince Lowe. Okay, what was the time the Pride show was on? It was on 6 o'clock Friday. I know that there's lots of replays still this month, so check on DirecTV. Let's see. In one of the Indiana Jones films, at one point, there's a German soldier doing a German suplex. So that's cool.
Wow.
Better than a Belgium. Let's see. What else do we have here? It's more on TSN. Let's go to Chris in Toronto since we're talking about TSN. How you doing?
Hey, Dave. How you doing?
Doing really good.
Good. What's up, Chico?
Hey.
Hey, I had a couple quick questions and a comment. Won't take that long. What's with the Jericho bashing today? I missed the first part of your show, but I heard you basically beat the shit out of him.
Brian got some letters from people who are trying to justify that nobody's like holding Chris Jericho back. He just stinks.
Okay.
Yeah, check out the feedback section on the website. It's all up there.
Is it up there now?
Yeah, for the past 2 days. It's up in the feature section.
Cool, I'll check it out. The second question I had, how come the Law guys can seem to get all, like, any WWF guests they want and you can't? Is it like a personal thing or what?
Probably.
It must be, because, I mean, they get anybody they want.
You know what's so funny about that is, like... Yeah, probably. No, actually, from a technical standpoint, what I was told is that because we're on the web and not on radio, okay? This is what I was told, that certain people in the WWF see this show as competition for what they do themselves. However, since the Law is on regular radio...
Aren't we running and opposition to Bite This anyway?
No,
I don't even know what time that show's on.
Okay, but the thing is, well, they just consider it... They consider, like, they don't want their guys doing website interviews, although they do interviews on our website. So, I mean, in a sense...
But the justification there is Alex is doing those for the newspaper column, and he just puts them up on the site. So it's not exclusive to our site.
And the justification of the Law is that they're on regular radio. Although the Law does not have an easy time getting most WWF guests. They can get some, when they're up in Canada, and there's obviously no ban on them. But for a long time, actually, they couldn't get any, and now they're kind of softening it, but... I think a lot of that is Toronto and Carl DeMarco and things like that, whereas...
So he got some stroke.
Yeah, the difference is like, there are people who, obviously a lot of people in WWF who know me, but it's not good politically to go to bat for me, where it's not... So it's a lot less politically bad to go to bat for Jeff Merrick. I don't even ask anyone to, so it's not like, but because they can't, it's like, I got 20 years of negative stigma for some of those people. Not all of them.
What can you do, right?
What?
What can you do? I guess not much.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a couple of quick, questions or comments before I get out. Dave, I asked you like a month ago if you're coming in the chat room. You've never shown up. Are you coming?
I tried one day and I couldn't figure it out.
Are you serious?
But,
it's simple.
Yeah.
Okay. Brian should be able to help you out. He comes in all the time.
Yeah, I know.
And just secondly, that WCW naming contest.
Yes.
I checked out the site yesterday, the WWF site, but they don't give you the results when you vote.
Yeah, I know.
What do you guys think of WCW Hotbox hosted by Kim Page? Just a thought.
You can get her.
Huh? Yeah. Oh, sure. Everyone can get her. Anyway, guys, I'll let you get on to the next calls, man.
I knew there was a joke in there somewhere.
All right. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Let's see. This is from A&M from Stony Brook, who said, like, on last week's show when you were asked about great amateur wrestlers, you forgot Jumbo Tsuruta, who was 7th in the 1972 Olympics. Well, actually, the person asked about active wrestlers, I think, because, I would have brought up, or maybe not, I don't know. But, yeah, Jumbo Tsuruta. Jumbo Tsuruta was amazing. He was in the Olympics 18 months after starting amateur wrestling. I mean, if you really think about that and understand amateur wrestling, that's just like, it's just so ridiculous. Yeah. What a incredible natural athlete that guy must have been. Let's go to Chris in Long Island. Chris, what's going on?
Hi, how's it going?
It's going good.
I just want to say hello to everybody in the Observer Live chat room, too. Also, the question I had was one is about Mexican wrestling, one's about the Jeff Hardy situation. A friend of mine wants to know what the exact difference is between EMLL and CMLL, if any.
Not really anything. I mean, CMLL is what they call it on television, but EMLL is like the actual name of the company, I think.
Okay.
But they're used, like the belts are called CMLL belts. The names are used interchangeably. There might be like, at one point there was like a CMLL promotion and an EMLL promotion, and they actually created talent. But I think that now they're just interchangeable names.
Oh, okay, because he also said too, because he has a dish, he gets to see the EMLL show. He said something about like does AAA work with EMLL at all, or are they rivals?
No,
they don't.
No, they're bitter rivals.
Okay, because he seemed to be confused because he could have sworn he saw some people from AAA on EMLL shows.
Well, it's a 3-hour block, and it's half AAA and half EMLL.
Oh,
okay. Well, you know what? But there's certain Well, actually, that's not true because most of those guys. Well, there's a Mostra Sagrada in both promotions, so that could be where you're thinking of something. Or maybe there's like a mini of a maxi in switch back and forth based on jumps and things like that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wasn't sure, and I wasn't sure either. So okay.
Mini Chico.
Oh boy.
He said there was a minis match the other day. I think you mentioned it. And he
Mini Chico better have really one leg.
Mini Chico's going to work like Jim Hellwig. No, the minis match that I saw on Tuesday night was on AAA was just awesome.
Yeah, he said something about it being really good. The thing with Jeff Hardy, do you think the reason that somebody was saying something about, do you think it's too soon? But with guys like Jeff and Matt Hardy, especially Jeff, if they ever have intentions on pushing this guy to be anything, given the style that he wrestles, they know their window of opportunity might be kind of small because of, seriously, because the way he wrestles, they don't have the time to wait maybe 4 or 5 years to give this guy a shot if they, for whatever reason, they think he was ready now, whether it's on the mic or with the character. So
I don't think that much thought was put into this as much as it just sort of like happened, and it's like, okay, let's go with it.
Right.
I don't think that it was like this careful thing where they're sitting there going like, well, Jeff's only got 3 years left, so we got to give him his main events now. I think just sort of like, let's put this match on TV, see how it goes. Then they went, and it's like, wow, this went better than we expected. Let's go. Let's keep going.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to say how he's going to do for interviews because he's never really been tested. I thought he did good on Monday, but it's not like he's been out there looking horrible for months.
That wasn't like an 8-minute interview. That was like 3 lines.
That's true. Yeah. He hasn't been tested as far as like cutting an actual promo and getting the crowd going, which I don't. The little bit of talking they did in the ring, they haven't shown to be anything special when it comes to that. But I guess given time, they could always work on that. So, also, the other thing I was going to ask was, as far as this, are they really going to? This is WWF, so we know with their polls they kind of, do whatever they want to do. But are those? Of those names, are they going to actually leave it up to the fans, or are they just getting an idea? Because they're just going to go whatever they want, right?
They're going to pick the name that they're going to pick. I don't think if they said on the website like this is the actual thing and whoever gets the most votes wins, then they're doing it. But this one I think is just for fun.
Yeah, but look at all the old 900 line contests that they did. Just because they said that this was going to be legit didn't mean that it was.
Sure. Yeah. I couldn't believe that name hard on that they would actually consider it. I'm thinking to myself they get enough trouble as it is with all of these PTC.
I don't know if it was supposed to be hard on or if it was just supposed to be WCW hard on Saturday night.
But what do you?
The point was, I'm sure that's why they did
that out. That's not a play on words. Come on.
But if anyone says, I'll just go, oh no, it's just WCW hard, but it's on Saturday night.
I don't know. I guess they were looking to just kind of mess with people.
If TSN calls.
Yeah, because TSN now don't they have to apologize? You said they have to apologize.
Yeah, they got to apologize for not editing out some of those terms that Chris Jericho used for Stephanie McMahon.
But I heard from people that's the same station. They played the Marty McSorley thing where he kind of I don't even know the exact incident.
Oh, well, everyone's seen the Marty McSorley thing a million times.
Yeah,
stick to the head. I've seen that everywhere.
But they'll play that, but they won't allow certain levels of violence from wrestling.
If Marty McSorley, you got to say Marty McSorley didn't do it to a woman.
Oh, so their thing is only if it's against women.
Not that if he did, they would probably still play it. But
yeah, if he attacked some female fan, I'm sure they would show it. If for some reason he snapped on a female fan.
Yeah, but he'd also be in jail for it.
He'd be in jail.
Yeah. That's why they would show it. They would go you'd get the repercussion aspect. I don't know.
I presume it was a news story too, and not just something on a goofy wrestling show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I had. Thanks a lot.
Okay, we are totally out of time right now. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Tomorrow, we're going to be on tape with Nova, so I can tell you it's a really good show because it's already happened. And Monday we'll be back live, and we'll be talking about whatever's going on this weekend. Easter's a pretty quiet weekend overall, although couple big Japan shows on Saturday and Sunday.
We can talk about Easter.
We can talk about Easter? We can do that too. Okay, we'll see everybody Monday at 5.